Okay, we'll start it in 60 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. This is Shirish Detke, and welcome to the Carpe Data and Prescriptions event for December. Our topic for today is social media killing email? And our guest for today is Ms. Lori Beasley from Beasley Direct Marketing, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about how email marketing has evolved over the last many years and how social media and email marketing are interacting right now. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sharice. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, Lori. Great.
Thank you. Would you like me just to proceed on now?
Yeah, just go right ahead, Lori. There's everybody here waiting to listen to you.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to bring us to the first slide. I wanted to introduce by saying that I've been a speaker and teacher for the Online Marketing Institute for about 3 years now, on top of running my own agency. And one of the questions in all the different cities that I've been teaching online and email marketing in that comes from the class attendees is kind of a question like, should we really be worrying about optimizing our email? Is social media going to be replacing email? I mean, how do we balance our social media and our email efforts and staffing and budget? And so, I mean, those are really legitimate questions and things that people are really thinking about these days. And so I did a bunch of research, and really the best primary research that I of studies around this entire topic. And you can actually get this, it's a series of papers available at exacttarget.com, and I think that you would really benefit from reading them because they're very well done. But I chose 3 learnings from these series to just talk about very briefly today. One thing, the first slide that Sharish has up here has to do with the question, how much has your behavior changed in your frequency of email use since you became a social user? And they wisely broke it down by age group. And the conclusion of the study, the orange bar is the percentage who use email more often, and the gray bar is the percentage in each age group who use email less often since they became social users. And you'll notice that even in the 15 to 17-year-old age group, the net gain between use email less often and more often is still 2%. And certainly as you get into older age groups, if you could go back to that slide again, Sharish. In the older age groups, you'll see that there's definitely a huge, much more statistically relevant increase in email usage. In the 18 to 24-year-olds, it's 35% increase of email usage. The 25 to 34-year-old, 23, and then 28, going down even to the older age groups of 60 plus. What that tells us is that email is not going away. I mean, people are using email even more as a higher percentage, even though they become social users. What can we project into the future as these 15 to 17-year-olds become, more prominent and consumers? Hard to say. Also, there's a lot of moving parts on the board as to whether some of the social media groups will start to offer sort of an email option. I know that Facebook's been looking at that. But for right now, the reality is that email usage is increasing. Sharish, can you move to the next slide?
Yeah.
Once you get to that next slide. So the other thing to look at it is, what do people buy from? Since they've become social media users, what influences their purchasing decision making? And so the question was asked, are you more likely to purchase from a brand after becoming an email subscriber, a Facebook fan, or a Twitter follower? And the bottom bars, I think, are what are significant. 27% said that they agree that they are more likely to purchase from a brand if they're an email subscriber. 17% say that they are more likely after becoming a Facebook fan, and 37% agree that they'd be more likely to purchase from becoming a Twitter follower. So Twitter and email are definitely very influential in purchase decision making, and I was surprised at the Twitter statistics here, and I think most people that see this also are sort of surprised. But I think that people are treating Twitter as sort of an organized search engine as they research products, and it could be significant in future marketing to make sure that your Twitter communication stream is geared toward helping people make the purchase decisions. The next slide. Go ahead.
Twitter is probably just another form of email, right? I'm sorry. Are people looking at it just like they send email, they send Twitter messages?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Are people looking at Twitter kind of similar to the way they're looking at email in the past, or do you think people have moved away from email to Twitter, or is it just that Twitter is just another independent source of information or source of staying connected?
I think that Twitter is another source of staying connected, but it's also a way for consumers to select who they're receiving messages from, and focusing their research on the products and brands they're interested in. And so it becomes sort of a opt-in search engine in a way.
Okay, great.
The next one, can you get to the next slide? So the most significant part of this survey that I wanted to point out, and I realize now that the slide's a little small. It's huger when you project it on a screen on a wall. But the last thing that they asked people is, it's a study called the Digital Morning. And they asked people, what is the first thing you check when you get up in the morning? And the results, to me, are somewhat stunning. The orange bar is the percentage of people who look at their email first. The blue bar is the percentage of people who look at their Facebook page, and then the light blue bar is the percentage of people who look at their Twitter. And I mean, by and large, very statistically, and I don't know if you can make that a little bit bigger, Sharish, but hugely large percentage of people look at their email first. And I think that that ExactTarget and SilverPop and some of the other marketing tools, the way they're starting to sort of look at email as it relates to social media is sort of that email is sort of the hub of the wheel. The communication, email is the communication central, and there may be communications happening out in the social stratosphere, but email still stays at the center of that. If someone posts an update to Facebook, it goes to your email account, blah, blah, blah. And so email is still the center of people's universe, in their communication universe.
Yeah, and it's amazing what kind of in there. The margin seems to be pretty wide between email and the next best.
It is very wide, even in the younger age groups. And I know that many of us who have teenage children realize that if we send them an email, we may not get a message back for them. But if we want to call them down for dinner, we have to send them a text message.
That works.
And it just may be that that generation transitions to be a text and mobile phone and social media centric generation, but
right.
We don't know. And our crystal ball, I don't know, it's a little cloudy there, but that seems to be trending that way, and it may be that we have to completely overhaul our marketing approaches as that generation emerges into two major consumers. But we have to live in today's reality.
Right.
So given this information that email is not going away, and it's still the center of people's universe, and it's still the first thing they check in the morning, and it still hugely influences their purchase decision, we can't treat it like a second-class citizen in our companies, and we have to continue to optimize and develop and resource our email marketing efforts. And there's a lot of challenges around email still today that companies really, really struggle with. And the biggest challenge is targeting recipients with highly relevant content. Another, huge challenge is improving deliverability, getting people to opt in to email lists, lack of an effective email marketing strategy. These are challenges that exist in every company, big or small. My thought is, since email marketing is not going away, we've got to make sure that we get our game on and keep our game on with email marketing. Do you want to go to the next slide, Shirish? And especially given the reality that the number one reason that people unsubscribe is that the emails weren't relevant to them, or they received too many emails from the sender, or too many emails from all sources, or it didn't apply to them. And we have to address these issues as companies and make sure that we keep our email readers satisfied. If we don't keep them satisfied, they have some very bad things they can do to us. They could delete our email. They could unsubscribe from us. But the worst thing that they can do is report us as spam. And even people who have opted in forget their love for you very quickly if you don't send to them something that they really like. And they can become pretty vindictive towards you. And if you think that being blocked by internet service providers doesn't happen, I would tell you that I did a straw man survey in every city. I taught email marketing for the Online Marketing Institute last summer, and in every room, a group of 30 to 52 people raised their hands, seeing that their company had been blocked by an internet service provider for bad email marketing practices, and their lives were pretty miserable trying to work their way out and through that process. I'm ready to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, so let's just ask you a question up front here. One of the things people talk about is that while email marketing may not have gone down in importance, the whole the whole arena of direct marketing has changed in the last 5 years because of social media and other things that have come up. So do you see a lot of resources now being diverted from email marketing to social media in terms of budgets or importance and everything based on your just observations and your experience?
No, I see companies expending just as much resources on email marketing. I think that the stress comes in that they realize to keep up and to keep their very selective readers satisfied that they need to add even more resources to email marketing. And in the recessionary atmosphere we've been in, it's been very hard to scrape the budget together to get those resources added. Additionally, it's very hard to find qualified people to add to your marketing team. I know very many companies, many of my clients who've decided that email marketing is doing well for them, and they go out to look for qualified people to run their email marketing programs, and they struggle in the recruiting efforts and often wind up outsourcing the entire operation to us just because of that very reason. So that's part of the reality.
And I guess what that means is that it's still an importance, and it's still pretty important as a medium to reach customers, and people are still spending a lot of money on it. And if I hear you right, they're not able to get the right resources to do it because it's still what do we call a specialized science, so to speak? Would it be accurate to say that?
Yeah, I mean, in order to get the right personnel to run email marketing, you need to have someone who's got a very good acumen of both the creative and the technical side of it. And there's both aspects of that involved with email marketing. You've got to do the right message, content, and you got to get the darn thing set up and the database run and the thing deliverable, and that takes the technical side.
So let me ask you another question from my point of view of ROI. What kind of ROI numbers are marketers talking about from email versus social media and other forms of marketing right now? Are the ROIs comparable, or are they about the same, or have they changed in the last few years or so?
Well, I can tell you that ROI for email marketing typically is stated and reported in benchmark guides as 150 to 300% for email. And I don't know anyone who's been able to put a stake in the ground for social media. That is a very difficult measurement to take and assess. Tools are getting a little bit better at, measuring impact and engagement and to do social listening out there, but how do you translate that into sales and ROI? That's almost a manual process of going back and reaching into that and trying to detect who is listening and then who bought the product. That takes a lot of human resources to do that.
Oh yes, and as far as measurements for the ROI around email are concerned, those are kind of well established, would you say, compared to the others? Is that what you're saying?
That is definitely much more established. It's a little bit harder leap from, for business to consumer sales, it's a very easy measurement to make. For lead generation, it's a little bit more difficult because lead generation requires multi-touches typically. In the realm that I operate in, I've been measuring how many touches it takes to generate a qualified sales opportunity, and it can take anywhere from 7 to 13 touches. And email is maybe 1 or 2 of those touches, and there's many others that play into developing and educating a lead to the point where they're ready to make a decision on your product.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. You're talking about 7 to 13 touches, and email would be 2 of those. That's pretty significant, right? Because and do those touches from email typically happen in the first few or the latter few, or are they kind of spread out on the
so a typical we do turnkey lead generation, and so we have our processes, and this may be not the processes that everyone uses, but I'll tell you how we do it. In the typical scenario, the first touches, 2 to 3 touches, will be email, social media outreach. Number 2 being social media outreach to Twitter, Facebook, maybe maybe others if it could be a consumer-oriented product that's a high purchase price. The third touch could be direct mail. The fourth touch could be the initial phone call, which is maybe leave a message, or you discover that the person that you're talking to isn't really the decision maker and they refer you to someone else. It could be sending another email with information. Could be a follow-up confirmation from the telemarketer. It could be scheduling an appointment to talk to someone, having that conversation. Maybe they need to send more information. That could be a third email. Then finally getting to the point where you're able to talk to that person, complete a script, and gain the information from them that determines their budget, their authority, and their need and their time frame. You're talking 7 to 13 touches.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And email seems to figure prominently in those touches.
Correct.
Great. So let me ask you another question. How are B2C companies now responding to the adoption of new versus old demand creation mechanisms? Because there was a way in which demand creation was done, let's say, 10 years ago, and then 5 years ago, and then how it's done today. How are companies responding to that right now?
Are you talking about business to consumer?
About business to consumer companies specifically, yes.
I think that they're evolving with the evolution of marketing. 10 years ago you had email and your web. 5 years ago you had email, web, and social media. Today we have web, email, social media, and even more social media, I suppose, more choices and more avenues and more creativity. And I think that you have more email and more strategy and more resources are wrapped around the email to be more relevant, more deliverable, more satisfying to the consumer.
Yeah. So actually, going back to one of your slides earlier, you mentioned about the challenges of sending in email marketing, and also you also talked about people being reporting companies to anti-spam or reporting them for spamming and stuff like that. So in your opinion, what advice would you give to direct marketers who are concerned about what's called customer fatigue? When people get a lot of volume of a lot of email, especially during the holiday season, but right in the middle of the holiday season right now, what advice would you give to marketers about how they should avoid customer fatigue on email?
Show them the love. Give them stuff that they really, really want to get from you. You gotta make optimize, and always have the thought in mind, what is it worth to them? Are you giving them something that they really want to receive from you? They're not going to love you back.
Yeah. And how well are people adopting that? How many people are actually following your advice on this in terms of best practices or versus, let's say, commonly adopted modes of doing email?
I'd say the online retailers are putting tremendous effort and resources toward their email marketing, and we're involved with consulting with many of those, and they're putting 10 to 20 people and personnel are wrapped around in multiple agencies and resources wrapped around their email marketing because they see how important it is and how much revenue is driven through it, and they're very aware of the customer and the consumer being king.
And they're doing. And would you say there are, if you look at across the industry, you think retailers are doing a pretty good job of it compared to maybe some other industries?
Yeah, I think that retail is doing a very good job of it. I think that B2B companies struggle a little bit with a little bit me-centrism, maybe sending out sort of what they feel like sending out, not completely focusing their attention on delighting and pleasing the prospect with extremely relevant content that really gives them something valuable.
Okay. Okay. Now, actually, there's one question from the audience which has come up, and I think it's more of a clarification. You had a slide which talked about fans, followers, and subscribers. Could you sort of define those more specifically? Because I think the folks are asking, what's the difference between, what's a subscriber really? I guess they understand what fans and followers are, but if you could elaborate on all three, that would help for people's understanding.
Yeah, so it would be email subscribers, Facebook fans, and Twitter followers.
Oh, okay. So fan, follower, subscriber is a proxy for Facebook, Twitter, and email. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Great. All right, I have one more question here from, and this is actually a quote from Seth Godin in 1999, but he said that email was the most personal advertising medium in history. This was like many years ago. And do you think that's still valid right now in 2012, or is that still is that title up for grabs for somebody else?
No, I think the email and direct mail both are very personal, very personalizable, and with given the right tools, the landing page and the web experience that you put them on is also, you have a capacity for extreme personalization and customization based on who they are, the products they bought from you, their previous purchase interests. And so the integration of email, direct mail, and very personalized web experiences has vastly expanded our ability to please and delight and be very customer service oriented toward those who we're trying to sell products to.
Okay, so it's only improved since then, or I guess the power of email has only improved since 1999. I guess there many more people have email addresses than before.
Absolutely. And there's one dynamic that we haven't really talked about, and that is what is happening between the mobile and the desktop. I hadn't paid much attention to that or worried much about mobile email usage and viewership until this year. And as I've observed and watched on various clients' campaigns, what percentage of them are being opened on a mobile device, whether it be an iPad or a smartphone, and all of a sudden the percentage has shifted to over 50% of emails that are being viewed on a mobile platform.
Wow.
That is hugely significant to me. And we are, as an agency, are already starting to think about and plan and strategize how we are going to address that and make our emails even more optimal experience for those who are looking at them on a mobile device. And that's going to involve some pain and suffering in changing some email templates for some of our clients and approaching other new projects with a much more optimized experience.
So if I heard you right, you said 50% or nearly 50% of the on mobile device.
Over 50%. Over 50.
And is that expected to go up further? What do the analysts and the pundits say?
Oh yeah, definitely trending upward.
Wow. So that's going to be a major difference in the way how direct marketing is done, especially with email.
It's going to generate demand a huge change in email creative strategy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very interesting. Now, Lori, I know that you run a direct marketing agency in addition to your responsibilities as president of the Direct Marketing Association. Could you tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how you help your customers before we go to more questions from you?
Yeah, we are a full-service direct and online marketing agency, and we help our clients, our business-to-business clients. We do turnkey lead generation programs where we deliver to them qualified sales opportunities. And for our business-to-consumer clients, we serve them in a variety of ways in executing email, direct mail, web-oriented campaigns, as well as search and search engine optimization for both B2B and B2C.
And how do clients work with you? Do they work with you as a turnkey? You said in terms of getting your getting the program or the whole campaign launched.
It could be turnkey or it could be a la carte. If anybody stumbled upon our website today, they would see there's clients that were doing everything for them, and many clients who were doing one or two different things for them, depending on their needs.
Okay. All right. Actually, there's one more question from the audience here, and the question is, and I guess it's back to the questions about fans, followers, and subscribers. And the question is, do brands tend to have more subscribers, fans, or followers? Is there a difference in the volume of subscribers, fans, and followers which a typical product or brand would have?
I only have visibility into the clients that I know. And I would say they have way more subscribers because they've been doing it, doing email longer than they've been doing social media.
Okay. So the sheer numbers of the subscribers is much higher.
Correct.
Okay, great. So I know we have a little bit of time left right now. Is there any kind of advice you would give to marketers who are budgeting for the next year on email marketing versus social media? And I know we're right in the budget season, or a lot of us are coming to the end of the budget season right now. What advice would you give to people when allocating funds for next year?
My advice really rotates around the goal, and that is relevance, relevance, relevance. And so what do you have to do in order to please and delight your audience, both in social media and in email, with relevance? That means generating better content. That means segmenting your data and your lists. It means having more management staff to manage the different campaigns that are going out. And so for most of my clients, it means adding content specialists or hiring an agency like ours to create more content, guides, books, videos. It means staffing or outsourcing more data segmentation and data overlays to do better segmentation. And it means adding staff to manage all the activities that need to happen to be an ever more satisfying marketing experience.
Okay, that's very good advice. In fact, there is actually one more question from the audience, and we'll take this question before wrapping up. And the question is, in your slide, which talks about challenges in email marketing, you talked about targeting, and again, I guess you mentioned relevance in your last question as well. What can people do? What's the one thing people can do to target their customers better?
Data segmentation is really key. Being able to segment people by their product interest. Well, for B2B, it's targeting by who they are in the purchase decision-making role. Most products in the B2B world are purchased by a committee of people, usually 2 to 5 people involved in the committee. So who are they in this decision making? Are they the C-level? Are they the business decision maker? Are they the technical decision maker? And segmenting your data and your creative and your messaging to who they are and what their role is in the decision making and what content you provide to them is really key. In the business to consumer realm, it's data segmentation based on expressed interest or past product purchases, and how you can offer up offerings that are relevant to other purchases that they've made in the past.
Okay, great. Again, I'm sorry, we have one more last question. Where do you see the future of e-marketing being in, let's say, 5 years from now? Based on, you've been in the industry long enough, I guess, the question from the audience is, what do you expect to happen in the next 5 years?
I expect it to grow and become even more important and more relevant for one very big reason, and that is people's continued centrism around their smartphones and their smart devices. I think that email is going to become even more important to people because of their on-the-go lifestyle and the fact that they're managing their life increasingly more through their cell phone and through their PDAs.
Great. Thank you, Lori. That was a fantastic perspective on how email marketing is evolving. And I know a lot of people are talking about social media and email right now as two conflicting things, but it looks like email has been around for a long time, and it's here to stay for an even longer time, especially with mobile and everything coming up.
Absolutely. And thank you, Shirish, for being a very kind host. I appreciate you inviting me here, and I'd love to continue the dialogue with anyone who has any further questions. I don't know if you have a slide with my contact information, but be sure to provide my contact information to anyone who's listened in today.
Yes, we will provide your contact information to all the attendees and all the folks who have registered for this webinar. Lori, thank you once again for being here, and for all of you listeners, this is Carpe Datum Prescriptions webinar for December, and our guest today was Lori Beasley, President of Beasley Direct Marketing. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Lori.